Just in case that you want to grow medicinal mushrooms, then you have to know that all the products that are out there, they come in fruit body form and they are sold as is, and also in powdered form. And if you're thinking about the powder, could originate from fruit bodies or could originate from mycelium or spawn. So if you want to follow this path, you can focus on the first two ideas that are about growing mushrooms to get fruit bodies. Now once you get those fruit bodies, you can sell them whole. Let's think about reishi. This is a typical example here, but you can grow maitake, enoki, different oyster mushrooms if you want, and you can sell those fruit bodies as dried, for example, and you can sell them to herb shops, for example. Okay, so if you're going to turn them into powder, then you have to dry them up. You need a grinder, and there's your powder. Now once you have the powder, you can put that into capsules. You can sell it as plain. So actually you just grind them and you have your powder and you put that into capsules and that's it. Or you can turn that powder into extracts and then you can put those extracts into capsules. You can also place those extracts into pouches or sell it as bulk to third-party companies. Now if you're going to focus on making powder from mycelium, then you need knowledge on how to make spawn, and that's the knowledge that you need. In some cases, the people that make medicinal mushroom powder from mycelium, sometimes they leave that spawn to form some fruit bodies, and then they dry those up together with the spawn itself and grind it up and get a so-called full spectrum powder, which means that it contains both the spawn and also the fruit body. Now why they're doing it? It's just because there is a debate. There is a debate between these two type of industries, and it's a debate more focused on the potency of the products out there. Some company owners, they say that actually the mycelium derived products are more potent. Some other ones, they say that the fruit body derived products are more potent. So even the research studies also, just because some of those research studies are influenced by companies behind, so it's tricky, it's debatable, and also it's strain dependent. So you gotta pick good strains. Both of these industries, especially if you're going to grow fruit bodies and then you'll have powder from them, you'll need to check that powder to see what the potency of your powder is. The higher the potency, the more quality the powder is, and of course the price can raise as well. So depends on some things. Now I want to talk about the business potential, and I'm going to focus more on the fruit body part and less on the mycelium. So when you're going to get your fruit bodies, I'm talking about a typical example, which is reishi in this case. So you'll have to have a 5-pound block, and you'll invest $2 in that to make that. Now in reishi, the yield ranges between 10 to 30% BE, so it's kind of low. But of course you can grow some other medicinal mushrooms with higher yields as well. Now it depends. You will pick what's best for you. So I'm thinking about an average of 20% BE in the middle. From a 5-pound block you'll get 0.74 pounds of mushroom fruit bodies, about only. If you consider selling your reishi, 1 pound of reishi for $25, that's going to be about $21 because you got less than 1 pound, and of course you have to subtract the investment, which is about $2, so that's going to be a total of $19 per block. Now this is not accurate calculus. Once again, if you want something accurate, then you do your homework. Now let's say that you can sell that powder. No, you have the fruit bodies, okay? Now you turn those fruit bodies into powder and you sell it and you get this much. But what would happen if you would turn that 1 pound into bottles? When you would encapsulate that, then the number changes radically, actually. Now a bottle like this with capsules inside, with plain fruit body, I'm not talking about extracts, and if you put in there like 100 capsules, that's about 50 grams of material in those capsules, depending on the size of the capsule. Now you can sell 1 bottle of these for $25. Now from 1 pound of powder you can get about 9 bottles. Now if you're selling those 9 bottles for $25 a piece, this is what you get. It's $225. So there is a difference if you want to sell it in pouches, let's say that you have your powder and you put it in pouches and you sell it like that, or if you put it in capsules and then in little bottles like this. So yeah, that's the potential. It's not accurate, but please do your homework and you can get some numbers and you'll see the difference. Now if you're thinking about investment to grow fruit bodies, you can start with $100 in your pocket, and we discussed this. I elaborated this a little bit more in the previous 2 ideas, but the problem is that when you're thinking about turning those fruit bodies into powder and to sell that powder in pouches or to encapsulate that powder, then the cost is going to get higher, especially if you want to encapsulate that, because there are some organizations out there. They will come to check your process and your procedures and how clean is everything, in what conditions you do that. So that comes with some additional approvals and certificates, and that will increase costs as well. Of course you'll need space. You can't do this in a farm, for example, so it's a little bit different. There are some things, and that comes with higher costs. Also, if you're going to want to turn your powder into extracts, that's going to be even more costly, because you will need some high-tech equipment for that, and that's expensive. But you can also work with some other companies if you want, and they can turn that powder into extracts for you. Suitable for, well, this is a business that is suitable for people that have good nerves and they can resist to the challenges of this industry. And what else? If you're a farmer out in the countryside, you can do that, and you can sell your mushrooms as whole fruit bodies to some third parties that they would transform those into powder, and they have all the approvals and all of those. So you can do it that way. But if you're going to decide to produce spawn and transform that into powder, then you can do that in the city as well, or you can do it in the countryside, anywhere. Now, challenges. Both industries, they have their challenges. First of all, this is labor. In both cases, diseases and pests. So mushrooms, they have diseases and pests, and in both cases you will deal with those. Marketing, if you do the marketing, then you'll have some challenges, but not many, just because, you know, this is a thing that people need. As I told you, if they eat edible and medicinal mushrooms, it's because they want them and they want to substitute for meat, or they're really used to them and so on. But also there's a focus and more attention on the alternative medicine, so there's an increasing need for that too. Yield, in the case of mycelium, you don't have to think about yield, but in the case of fruit bodies, yes. And of course you'll have competitor companies there, because there are some companies that already produce medicinal mushroom powders especially, and not only, but there are several farms that grow also mushrooms in the food body form, and they have contracts with other companies. Okay, success stories, plenty, I can tell you. Me myself, I worked for one of the biggest companies that were making powder for mycelium, and they can get really big. So if you're thinking about modules, the mushroom classes modules that you will need in order to do something like this, to find out more details, to dive into what you need and how you can do it, then if you pick to grow medicinal mushroom fruit bodies, then just pick all the modules that are dedicated for mushroom growing. If you'll pick this to make powder from spawn, then just pick the modules that are dedicated to making spawn. So simple as that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you need more information on what means to make spawn, then please check the next idea, and I'll tell you more what means to make spawn and what's the cost of a bag of spawn and so on. But remains for you to translate that and to put that into capsules here, and to see more exactly what the costs are and what the profit